r/Askreddit by Reddit and chill. What was the weirdest question you got asked on a first date? Do you mean to give off such a strong grandma energy? The guy I was out with asked me this when I was 22. But now I realize that I do give off a strong grandma energy and just lean into it. Cookies and sweaters? Yeah, I'm the same way. Do you want to come back to my place and play my mandolin? And then she meant it. I got a 45-minute mandolin lesson at no charge. Sounds like a good date. Dude kind of awkwardly leaned forward after some hours of talking and sort of half whispered, "You're not a furry, right?" He was incredibly relieved when I told him I wasn't. Poor guy had some pretty bad past dates. I once went on a date that turned out to be a recruitment for a cult. So I guess being asked to join a cult would be the weird question. But you made a lot of friends, right? This was a few years ago, but I once took a girl out who asked me to buy her an iPhone, and when I laughed it off she told me she was serious. When I said no, she asked if I would buy her a 12-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade, and at this point I was done. Turns out she lied about her age and was only 19. Took her home immediately and blocked her across the board. Good thinking. If she already set the bar high with the iPhone, the 12-pack seems like nothing afterwards. If I became a quadriplegic, how long would it take for you to leave me? She had lots of others as well, like when was the first time you met a ghost? She sounds like good fun. Depending on your political views, this might not last very long because I'm super opinionated. Oh. Well, okay. What are your political views? I don't want to talk politics on a first date. ? I'm reading this and all I can think is I will argue with you about almost everything because I love the drama. I just need to ensnare you first. Are you broke? While I understand they're probably searching for a stable future. But like, girl, we just met and I'm paying for your food and drinks tonight. Don't pry into my wallet that much yet. I can't seem to imagine this without you sitting in a McDonald's eating Happy Meals while you look incredibly taken aback at the question as you tuck away your coupon book. For the record, it's still rude in that context. This dude told me I had a good wife or whatever the duck that means, and then he asked me if I'd consider making him my husband. And it wasn't like a cute quirky joke or anything, he was very serious and very odd, and it's probably the most uncomfortable I've ever been. This guy also tried to tell me my severe allergies were all in my head. Nothing says good husband quite like I don't believe in your problems. I went on a first date with a girl who looked up a list of 20 things you shouldn't talk about on a first date. And she went down the list asking me about each one of them. We both answered each question. So religion, political beliefs, past sexual experiences, emotional baggage, relationship with your parents. You name it. We got married a couple years back. Sounds like a good way to get to know someone. Actually, I'm not sure if it counts as a date, but we went and picked up pizza to bring back with us to his dorm. While we were in the restaurant waiting for our order, he seemed very eager to show me photos of his roommates and wanted me to rate them based on their appearances. I was thrown off a bit, but whatever. I played along. On the walk back to campus, he finally admitted why he was being so weird. He told his roommates I was open to having group sex and was trying to get me interested before I got to their dorm. I was very clearly not interested, but he still asked after a few awkward minutes. So do you think you'd be down if it's just 3 guys? They keep texting me asking. Took the pizza from him and walked myself back to my dorm instead. Edit. Hey everyone. I've gotten a ton of PMS, some nicer than others, so I just wanted to clear a few things up. There's nothing wrong with liking group sex. I just wasn't looking to sleep with 7 strangers. And one guy I had only interacted with in class. All at once. I appreciate the messages saying I looked out for myself, instead of the ones saying they should have raped me. Y'all are disgusting. These guys are known on campus to be a bit predatory, and I trusted my instincts. Sure, I could have gone over and maybe nothing would have happened. All I know is I'm a pretty petite girl and not capable of fighting off 8D1 athletes. Class was definitely weird after. He still occasionally messages me when he's drunk on weekends. Weirdly enough. He still only asks for group sex. Could just be his thing. No shame. I'm glad you took the pizza. If I would put a Q-tip soaked in alcohol in his urethra. He said he had a micro penis and enjoyed humiliation. I went to the restroom and ducked out. Some dudes are really strange. If we have a son, would he have a small dong because you're Asian? I didn't even answer the guy. I just left the restaurant and went home. Does the type of person who says this really not say anything strange prior to getting you to agree to go on a date? A dude once asked me how many fingers I could fit inside myself within the first 10 minutes of meeting up. How does that even come up? Have you ever been here? Oh. The burgers are great. I wasn't a fan of blue cheese until I tried it on their burger. Speaking of blue cheese. How many fingers can you shove up your snazach? So what do you want to do next? Steve? My name is not Steve. It's Batman. Will you be my girlfriend? When I was 20 and in uni, I met a guy off Tinder. We'd only ever really exchanged small talk on there. And he asked this less than 2 hours into the date. He also took a selfie of us and put it on Instagram. I declined. Put it down to either nerves or something. He then got really drunk. Too drunk to walk. But claimed he had no money for a taxi. I lived around the corner and begrudgingly let him crash because I felt responsible if something happened to him. He then tried to convince me to get day drunk with him and skip lectures all day. I declined. It was one of the worst dates I've ever had. I was born with cerebral palsy. It impacts only my legs and is relatively mild. I walk with a pretty pronounced limp. But otherwise I do alright. Used to work in a call center and became fast friends with this woman who worked on my team. Eventually we went on a half-assed date because she was going to be moving across the country in a few weeks. We got talking about my disability and she just up and asks out of nowhere. What is sex like for you? Is it difficult? You must have a pretty big dong though. Right? I was just flabbergasted for a moment and laughed. I said, sex is no more difficult than anything else. As for my dong, I guess that depends on your point of reference. I ended up asking her later why she would assume my disability would have granted me a magnum dong and she just said, I don't know. There's gotta be a trade-off somewhere. We hooked up a few times before she left. It's just the law of equivalent exchange. What would you do if I stabbed you? While holding a 3-inch knife. This was right after this dude grabbed me between my legs, over my jeans, and said this is mine. Needless to say there was no second date. What would you do if I stabbed you? Bleed. Mostly. I got asked if I would be willing to convert to Judaism. You'd just have to change your username in Swinging Salmon and you'd be done. Met a girl via online dating. Met up. Midway through coffee she shows me her phone with a picture of an older lady on it. She asks me if I'd have sex with that woman in the right circumstances. Turns out the woman was her mother. She later explained that she wanted to make sure I'd still find her attractive when she's old and looks like her mom. She's aware that people's perception of attractiveness usually ages with them. Right? Most 25-year-olds probably aren't into grandmas. But lots of grandpas are. Met a girl one time to go bowling. Before she got in my car she asked me if it was okay if she brought her bowling ball. Little did I know that she was the state champ bowler 2 years in a row and I got my ass handed to me. Oh thank God. This one was sweet and not at all weird. Gal saw a bunch of bananas I had in my kitchen and asked as she rolled her eyes if I ate those things. Who the duck has a problem with bananas? If I would have a threesome with her and her gay friend. Like. I could duck her if he could duck me. Seemed like a bit of a bum deal. So I passed. Shoulder Power played that one and said you'd be ducking him instead of the other way around. My dong size. Mind you, the date was merely hanging out at my place. And she asked me question in full earshot of my mother. And your mother answered. Right? Right? I got asked if I liked boggle. The guy then pulled out a boggle board and proceeded to solo boggle to show me how great he was at boggling. That's mind-boggling. Have you ever had a bad food experience here? Because last time me and my ex were here blah blah blah. Yeah, no, please go on for the next 30 minutes about you and your ex's digestive issues. It's not as if I'm missing any productive dates here. You missed a one-upping opportunity. Yes. It was terrible. I was shitting blood for days last time I came to this restaurant. It was terrible. Yes. The doctors said it was quite contagious. It was terrible. I was legally dead for 45 seconds. It was terrible. The girl in question seemed nice. Until she let her freak flag proudly fly with rapid fire questions of, do you have a high sperm count? And do you come a huge amount? Also, do you have a large enough penis? Because I need to know you can knock me up easy and early on for many kids. What? Holy shit, I'd put my condoms in a safe around her. So what did you do to cause your ex to cheat on you? Pretty amazing moment in hindsight. Still took her home. Yikes. I dated this ditzy blonde. She said, you're like not one of those pedophile people, are you? That's a big word for a 12-year-old. Living in China. Get some awkward questions sometimes. Women when they get close to 30 or older don't want to waste any time, so they tend to be very direct. These were all from the same woman on the same date. How tall are you? Why aren't you married? How many girlfriends have you had? Did you love all of them? Why did you break up? Did you have any friends who work in IT? Can you introduce me? When I said no, she kept pressuring me because she wanted someone to build a website for her. Probably the worst I've had. But many girls also like to mention how cute a mixed baby would be on our first date. My mother once had a blind date that was a total dud. Before he dropped her back home, he brought her around to the trunk of his car and started a sales pitch to try and sell her a set of knives. Actually wasn't a question but an affirmative. She said we'd have babies and live with her parents. Proceeded to have sex and then she asked to nut inside her. No hope. Why would you even risk it at that point? No judgment, just genuinely curious. Are you scared of me? I was honestly asked that by a girl. And I really didn't know how to answer her because I was young and a part of me was scared of her, lol. She was really cute. What did you say? Are you like Chinese or something? She proceeded to insist that I must be Chinese for the next 15 minutes. I am. In fact, not even a drop Asian. Sounds like something a secret Chinese person would say. Do you know anything about hemorrhoids? Kinda weird first date material. What would you do if a gunman came in here and robbed the place? Sacrifice them to the gods. I have Asperger's. Been asked if it's legal to date or have sex with somebody on the autism spectrum. Not a date, but a random dude told me he wants to marry me. I decided to call his bullshit and told him okay, let's go. Never seen a dude freak out and run so fast. After I got home I realized I could have made it better if I was to chase after him. This was with an ex-classmate. Did you know how massive your boobs used to look in 9th grade? The guys were crazy. First date. Straight out of the blue. He didn't even used to be that good a friend back in school. Poorly paraphrased from a Tom Rhodes bit. I'm on a date and she asks what kind of drugs do you like? And I thought what a refreshing and honest question, and I replied I like weed. And booze. In my younger days I experimented with a lot more. But those days are pretty much behind me other than maybe the occasional bump. However, once in a while when the time and the company is right I'm completely down for a mushroom or acid trip. And she looks at me in horror and says I asked what kind of dogs you like. So not a weird question. But my wife asked me what my favorite sports are. I answered soccer and snooker. Then went on an hour-long explanation of what snooker is. She sat there patiently and listened to me. I can't believe I got a second date. Let alone to marry her years later. She always brings this up though. Got asked would you stay the night if I paid you $300? But did you stay? Will your parents stay with us after we're married? If you're at a bank and the bank got robbed and you got shot in the arm, are you lucky? Asked by my husband on our first date. Have you masturbated to my pictures on Instagram before? Well, have you? If I was gay, we were both dudes, Same date he got really angry when I tried to split the bill and freaked out about how he was a man. Also lied about his age. So overall bad experience 0/10. Reading this comment is like flipping open a binder where all the holes are worn so the pages just come loose and get mixed up and you start panicking to get them back in order. Ducking like and subscribe.